Welcome to the Life's Necessities and Luxuries radio show. Today, our host, Dawn-Marie Mutel, your life's commodities broker, will bring you fashion, beauty tips, business acumen, teach you where to find the life's greatest necessities and the finest luxuries. Now, here's Dawn-Marie.
Hey you guys, it's Dawn-Marie Mutel. Welcome back to another episode of Life's Necessities and Luxuries. I hope everybody had an amazing summer, even with everything going on, that you still were able to spend some quality time with your friends and family somehow, some way, and that you all had a great time. Fall is quickly approaching, and you know what that means. It's back to school, right? So one of the things I love to do, because this was always my favorite time of year. I don't know about you, but I loved going back to school and getting my new supplies. And I was kind of a bookworm in a way. So I loved doing those little things, and I loved buying clothing for the new year and all that stuff. I wanted to talk about just getting a couple of things under your belt so that you're ready to hit the ground running for fall and that you're organized. And maybe it just has to do with any kind of storage items that you may need that you may not have in your household right now. So one of the things I know that a lot of people love to use, and I like to use them, are just basic clear bins that you can kind of put a lot of things in. You can store them, you know, at the bottom of the closet or a storage room or garage or however you store your stuff. But it's a great way to just kind of put like those heavy items that you don't want to use right now. Maybe it's seasonal items, maybe it's holiday items that you can kind of store away and use them when you need them, right? So that's always a beautiful thing, is getting rid of that excess stuff around that's just laying around that maybe you don't need to use right now. And it can give you some extra room to do maybe some creative crafts, or maybe it's you're starting a business and you need that extra space. That might be a place where you can start just to kind of clear up some extra room around the house or your apartment. Think about some of the clothes you have. Now, I am really thrilled because I'm so excited. I just put together a new course called Let's Shop in Your Closet, which is going to be coming up in a few weeks. And I'm doing a couple of webinars. So if you're really interested to see and learn and grow and have your fashion look fantastic and feel really good when you go to your closet every day, you can open it up and say, wow, I have something to wear, instead of saying, dang, I have nothing to wear. So if you're interested, please email me at dawnmariemutel@gmail.com, and in the subject line, put webinars so that I can put you on the list and you'll be ready to rock and roll. As soon as they come out, you'll get to know first. The other thing I wanted to talk about organizing is, like, if you have a home office, are you organizing the office? Now, I am like crazed myself because I'm always doing so much by myself with my office that it gets out of whack real quickly. But what I do for a lot of people is to just try to help them stay organized, right? And that might mean having systems in place. Do you have any systems? I had an ex who was going through a really bad divorce. And I remember when he had to go to the courts and he had to produce all the documents and I forget, I think it's called case information statements to show how much he paid for the bills every month and all that kind of stuff. I remember he said, oh yeah, I got to do this thing. And I said, oh, when's it due? And it was like due in like 3 days, you know? And I said, oh, okay, maybe I can help you. And he brought me a box full of receipts to the max. And I was like, oh shit. But what I did was, I got the DM method, and what I call the DM method is just, you got to put everything out, whether you're putting it out on the floor, and I would just use the space on the floor and just put piles with sticky notes as to what went where, and then just create those piles so that they're all in their own little sections, and then I would clip them together and go through each of them by date and sort them by date. So this way I could do that report for him. Now, the other thing about receipts I always say is to, you know, if you can, photocopy them, because if they're on thermal paper, that shit's going to be gone in like 30 days or less. You'll notice they just get lighter and lighter. And I had some receipts that were only a few months old that I couldn't read at all. So many, many years ago, I started copying them because I realized that, oh shoot, this will just disappear. So think about keeping copies, and then I staple the originals onto the paper, and then I photocopy it, and then I kind of attach them together. Especially if you need to have any itemized deductions that you may need, or proof of something for whatever. Keeping those like that will always keep your ink on your receipts and you'll always be able to see them. But creating little files for each of your items, so maybe it's just your telephone bills and then keep one for medical, and maybe if you have children, keep one on each of them. And then if they have any important documentation like passports and birth certificates and social security cards, just keep each of those items for each kid or, whoever's in your household in a separate file. So this way you know where it is all the time, and make photocopies of everything. Now you may want to have one master file that has everything in it and then break it up into separate ones by each person. Another thing I like to use, believe it or not, are these little magnetic paperclip holders, because, I find I use paper clips a lot and staple a lot of stuff, but they're really easy. I have 2 different sizes. One's for the small and one's for the large. And binder clips, if you don't use them, they're really inexpensive. You can even pick them up these days at the Dollar Tree stores. But binder clips are really great because if you have stacks of paper that kind of go with each other, you can just quickly stack them. They come in different sizes. I even buy like the jumbo sizes because when I have large documents that need to be clipped together, it's a great way to keep them together. I also use them when I'm styling somebody for a shoot or something. You can just pull the item back if it's too large, and you can use a binder clip to kind of just clip it away so that they can't tell that it doesn't fit. But anyway, those are great things. And then if you go to IKEA online or the Container Store, you can find those magazine holders. They're kind of like a heavy cardboard that you can just find them in all these cool styles now. When I was getting them, they're pretty much just plain white or black from IKEA, but now they have designs on them. And you could really make your office look pretty. And I love a pretty office. Unfortunately, my office is also my studio, so it's just a mix of stuff. But, keeping those things intact, especially when you're looking for something and you need it quickly, it's a great way to just have everything organized. And I'm a really big fan of using 3-ring binders. And I try to get like the 3 or 4-inch binders now. They're kind of expensive. And I found some at Walmart the other day that were like $6.97, which is like the cheapest I've ever seen, because usually they're like $12, $16, $20. And what I like to do is keep everything sorted by their thing. So for instance, I have one that's about self-publishing, and I have one that's about, building the website. And so when I have all those classes I've taken, I have all my notes in there so that when I go back, I can quickly find something that helps me do whatever it is I need to do. Otherwise, because I don't have teams of people building websites, this, that, and the other thing, I'm kind of a one-man band, so I do it myself right now, but I've had to make sure I organize all that stuff because it's marketing and it's, all these different areas, especially when it comes to technology. I am not really a techie person, but I've had to teach myself how to be a techie person. So if I can do it, you can do it too. So if you're looking to build a website or something like that, there are so many things available to us right now that you can't not have any free help to help you. So don't use it as an excuse because, we all make up some kind of excuse as to why we won't do something, right? And usually it's because we don't know how to do it. So then what happens? We procrastinate. And you know how I feel about procrastination, right? Got to kick it in its ugly head and say, get the heck out of here, because procrastination will steal what you want to do with your future. And we always say tomorrow, 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 right? Tomorrow comes, but we don't do it. Tomorrow comes, but we don't do it. Tomorrow comes, but we don't do it. But imagine if you rewind the tape and tomorrow comes and you take a half hour and you do it, and the next tomorrow comes and you take another half hour and you do it, and before you know it, 7 tomorrows come by and you've done something. It's that easy. But starting is the hardest, right? It's the first step that's always the toughest. So don't hesitate. Just do it. As Nike says, just do it. So what else? Pens, markers, all those types of things, they can kind of get a little unruly sometimes. So I found, believe it or not, these really cool little, they're actually candle holders that you would put like a glass candle inside of it. They're silver and they've got a cool design. Again, I got them from IKEA. I picked up 3 of them. And next thing I know, I have one for my dryboard markers and one for just pens. And I have one for pencils. And I have one for my color markers that I use to do illustrations or any kind of fashion design work. So that's been really helpful. And then if the pens are not working, throw them away. Just toss them out. The worst thing is when you're on the phone with somebody or something's coming up and you really need that pen and you grab it and it doesn't work, right? Doesn't that suck? Toss the shit out, get rid of it, and, just keep the ones that work. I love using color ink, so I have different color systems for different things, so I kind of use my color pens to help me stay organized. Because, when you have a lot going on, you got to stay organized, right? Otherwise, things will fall through the cracks. You may miss appointments, and it's a bitch. Another thing that I find is really helpful are those individual, kind of like a silver Pendaflex file holders. So like you can keep your working files right there in a folder, like it's that you keep 5 or 6 files in it. I like those, and I like having them right next to me because those will be the working files, right? So if you're working on projects that are hot and you need to be touching them all the time, those are the ones you want to keep near you, and the other ones can go into the file cabinets. Let's see, what else? The calendar, right? The calendar is very important. And if you have a few kids, they're all doing different activities. They may be stuff online, but you still have to track them, keep in different calendars. Maybe a problem, but maybe just keeping a really large wall calendar so you can just mark it and block it out there. So this way, even if you want to go on vacation, you know when you're free. Because if you say, oh yeah, we can go, and then you realize little Johnny's got a baseball game or something that's really big and he can't miss it, then you can't go. So staying on top of your year will be really instrumental to keeping you organized and buy you some more time. Because when they're doing this, you can take care of that. And so you may be able to juggle a couple of things that way. One of the things I used to do, my ex-fiance, he was a hockey player and he was a goaltender. And so I would go to a lot of his games, and there was a lot of downtime in between stuff. So I would just have my work with me and I would work and do something. Whether it was just planning what I have to do or watching videos or something, whatever it was. And it really helped because, 20 minutes here, 10 minutes there, 5 minutes there. Even when they were fighting, I'd watch them fight on the ice and then be like, okay, I got to get back to work. I didn't miss the game because I love hockey, and, working with the NHL, I had the blessing to go to a lot of games, and I really loved hockey. Even growing up as a kid, my brother and my sister loved hockey, and my father. So I would always watch games, and I remember asking my brother, can you teach me how to play hockey? And he was like, girls don't play hockey. Yeah, right. Okay. And then you have the winners of the 98 Olympics, right? The female team. I think it was 98, 99, somewhere like that. Anyway, so let's not digress. Let me go back to organizing. Another thing I really love to do, and this is something I've been doing since I worked for MCA Music, which is back in 90 or something like that. I had a lot of responsibility, and I was only like 23 years old at the time. So I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have assistants. I didn't have the people to help me. I did get some interns eventually, but I was handling a lot of stuff. And so I remember finding this notepad, and it was like things to do today. And it was just a list, and it didn't have any dates on it, didn't have anything, just the lines of things to do today. So I started using that, and I would write everything down because it was like, make sure I call, Mary J. Blige's attorney, make sure I call this one, make sure I follow up with that one. And I was getting like 100 cassettes of music coming in every week that I had to listen to and break it down and then, do licensing for. It was a lot of moving parts to each deal, and it was a lot of work, and I was doing it by myself. So that thing, if it wasn't for that list, I don't know what I would have done, because back in the day, they really didn't have all these wonderful schedulers and this and that and, your phone in your pocket that you could have reminders on it. No, we didn't have that. So that list really helped me. And I think if you start doing that, if you're not already doing something that puts down, the things you need to do that are really important, that are like crucial. If you don't do it, you're going to get the hand chopped off. B, the things that you'd like to do when you have a little bit more time, you still want to put them on a list, because if you don't write it down, guess what happens? We forget it, right? Does it happen to you? Because I know if I don't write it down, it's as good as gone. So you want to have all of these things on your list. And maybe you have 2 different lists. One that are just, I'd like to do one day list. And then the other one is like, this is really hot and I have to do it. But creating a list every day, I like to write down everything every day, because at night, if I go to sleep and I still have stuff to do and I didn't write it down, guess what happens? You got it. I sit there, I twist and turn, I'm up all night, I can't sleep, I'm just worried, I'm overstressed, I can't think about it, oh my gosh. But then I'll get up, I'll write it down, And I feel so much better because I feel like once I wrote it down, I know I'm going to work on it. I'm going to see it and I'm going to do it. Don't you feel like that? Does it happen to you when you just, you lay there and your mind is reeling and it's like, oh my God, I got to do this thing at work and da-da-da-da-da, I got to take care of this and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. There's a lot of that, right? So think about ways that you can break it down. I love what Tony Robbins always calls. He calls chunking it down, meaning take the major goal and then break it down into bite-sized pieces and then start with the easiest task and get it off your plate. I like to sometimes start with the hardest things because if it's something that needs my energy and I have it in the morning, I kind of do the toughest stuff first. And then I can do the easy stuff and fly through that. But the hardest stuff is always the grueling stuff, right? It's that stuff that kind of feels like, oh my gosh, if I don't do this today, the shit's going to hit the fan. So maybe now you may not be a morning person. You may be more of an evening person. Then do it at your best time. So if you are an evening person, then do it then. But be sure to do it then. Okay? Because otherwise the days roll by, the weeks roll by. And if you notice, the weeks are flying by so fast. I feel like they're like 3-day work weeks, right? Because it's like 3 days, boom, done. 3 days, boom, done. It's like, wait a minute. I still need 4 more days, please. So think about ways that you can chunk down those hard to do tasks. And if you have people to delegate to, please delegate it. Use them. That's what they're there for. They're there to help and serve you. Use them. Now, maybe you need to check their work. Okay, then check their work, but let them run with it, do it. Make sure you give good direction, and communication is key when you delegate something. Because if you say one thing, it's like telephone line. You say one thing, somebody else receives it and they think of it as something totally different. So ask them to relay it back to you, right? So that you can understand what they think you meant when you said what you said. Does that make sense? Because if you don't, they're going to spend all this time doing that work and that on that job, bring it back to you, and you're going to be like, this is not what I asked. And there's nothing worse than having people waste their time. They don't feel good about it. You get upset about it and nobody's happy, right? So if you can be very clear when you communicate what you're looking for. Like I just had a friend of mine, get some artwork done for something and he sent it out and it came back and I said, can I see it? And then I was like, well, what about this? What about that? And he's like, oh yeah, I didn't think about that. But see, so maybe having another set of eyes look at your work may also help you. Now, sometimes we get blinders on, right? Because we do something for so long that we think, we got this. We do it so often. It's like you could do it in your sleep, right? But now what happens if it's something new that you think you know what you're doing, but because your boss didn't relay something and you make a mistake or something happens and it's not the right thing. So even if you're receiving the information or you're giving the information, being very clear with one another is really crucial to having a successful task done, right? I remember, assisting VPs and CEOs and this, that, and the other thing, and always saying, okay, so you want, let me reiterate what you're saying. You want blah, 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 especially when I'm doing like special event planning. If they're saying they want this, this, and this, I have to realize, okay, we also have a budget to work with, right? So you want the sky, the moon, the stars, and everything else in between, but you only have this much to spend. Then I need to say, hey, we could do the stars and the moon, but we can't do the stars, the moon, the sky, the this, the that, and the other thing. It's important to let them know what is really feasible. Now, if somebody tells you they want a job done and it takes 12 hours, but it's going to take 18 hours and not 12 hours, that's when you need to speak up and say, you know what? I've done this before and it's not 12 hours. It's going to take me 18 to 20 to do it. Giving them a clear picture because they don't know because they don't do it, right? They don't do the job, so they have no idea. Anyway, I don't want to digress, but I want you to be specific when you are communicating with people so that no one's wasting anyone's time, because I find that is the worst. Don't you think? It's the worst when you have somebody that's like, oh my God, I just spent 50 hours on that and you're telling me that's not what you wanted? So that's why I'm saying those little things can really make a major difference. Now back to organizing. I'm sure you have your home computers and your home printers. You may need to pick up some additional supplies, right? You may need some extra toner because maybe you're low. They're freaking so expensive these days. It's crazy. And they go very quickly. It's not like the office machines that seem to last, thousands of pages. No, you may get like 100 pages on one toner and be done, right? I know I had to print out a bunch of agreements and contracts and all these kinds of things that were like 33 pages each. And the next thing I know, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm running out of ink. I go get another one. I'm running out. Go get another one. They're very expensive. But you need to have those supplies. Now, what if a kid has a report due or something and you can't print it out? That's not going to be good. So make sure you have your supplies. Okay. Now, I like to have a little supply list because there's certain supplies I know I use all the time. I'm sure you do too. There's certain things that you just use over and over again. So maybe you need to just keep a stockpile on some stuff. If you find them on sale, I always say grab it, put it in your stockpile, and this way you're ready to go. If it runs out, you have a backup. You don't have to stop the project. You can keep running. Now, what else? I'm a big fan of, I talk about the binders, but I'm also a big fan of having like some kind of a book shelving unit. I found some at IKEA. I talked about this before, but they're really useful. They're really helpful. I can get all the binders. I can even get like the box of those Hammer Mill paper boxes from the reams of paper. I put stuff in there sometimes to keep them off the ground and put them on a shelf until, and it's kind of a working thing sometimes. I have like 5 or 6 binders in there, but I know those are working binders. I can kind of pull them off the shelf, pull them down and go through them as I need it. And that's a beautiful thing when you can get stuff off the floor and onto a shelf. Because I know if you walk into my office right now as I'm looking around, it doesn't look so pretty. I've got a lot going on in here right now. So you'd be like, and you're telling us to do all this stuff? I'm like, well, I'm only telling you because I know when I do this stuff, it's very helpful. But right now I'm trying to crush out a couple of this music online summit. So my life has been a little crazy trying to get that done. And it's about to launch in a few weeks, and I'm so excited. I want to share it with you, actually. I'll tell you a little bit about it. It's for musicians, artists, and entrepreneurs who may be struggling right now with trying to make some money because they may have not be gigging out live anymore and business as usual. I know I had a contract with a company that got dissolved, and so I'm looking for more work, and it's been really tough. So one of the things is I'm just creating this It's Time to Pivot Online Music Business Summit so that people can hear from those who are successful in this business, in podcasting and live streaming areas and things like that. So they may think of some alternate ways to get their businesses up online and make some more money, right? Because, everything is really, really crazy right now. So we have to find alternate ways to stay afloat. So I've created this virtual summit and I've have some amazing people. I have Patreon on, and I've got Bandzoogle, and I have people from Podfest Expo, and I've got Zakiya Hooker, which is John Lee Hooker's daughter. She's a singer and blues and jazz, and she's on, and I just got a whole bunch of people that have just gave a wealth of information that if anyone's looking to move their business online, I say stop by. It's a free ticket. So anyway, I will post that if you're interested. You can find it. But if you follow me on Little Drummer Girl at LIL Drummer Girl 55, then you can stay in touch with me there and you will see it getting posted there so you'll know. So I hope you follow me over there. And also, if you like music and you'd like to hear some live musician interviews and my vlog, you can check out The Little Drummer Girl. That's lildrummergirl.com. And you can catch everything over there. I think that's all I'm going to leave you with today because it's a lot. And if you're new to this may be more than you want to take on right now. But if you're not, then these may just be a couple tips to help you, improve what you're doing now or change it altogether, however it might work best for you. Anyway, I hope you guys rock on and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. And remember, if you like this episode, please share it with somebody you think that might be helpful for. I appreciate that. And stay in touch and subscribe. Remember, this podcast is free. It do not pay to listen to it. So just sign up in any of the places that podcasts are heard, whether it's on Stitcher or if you're on Google Play, Google Music, it's there. And I will catch you soon. Remember to live happily, lovingly, peacefully, successfully, necessarily and luxuriously. Until the next time.
If you like what you hear, tell someone. If you like what you hear, be a dear and pass it on. Don't forget to stop at our website, www.lifesnecessitiesandluxuries.com, for more tips, tricks, tutorials to live a very necessary and luxurious life.